Hey, if you are like me, you are constantly looking for new cameras and gear to try. I mean, what's fun about analog photography is that there's such a great variety of cameras and tools. It's just amazing. Now the problem is that the camera prices are going rapidly up, and cameras like Hasselblads, Rolleiflexes, even Nikons, Canons, the prices have gone so high that they are sort of beyond the impulse buy for most of us. But there's still a group of cameras that might fit into that. I mean, and those are the old Soviet cameras. I mean, Soviet Union collapsed 30 years ago, over 30 years ago, so those are old cameras. They were not that good from the get-go, and now after 30, 35, 40, 50 years, they are most probably broken. But they are cheap. So I keep on browsing the internet, and every now and then I find an old Soviet camera and buy it. And the minute it arrives, you want to open the package and go and test it. I mean, first run. And I want that first test run to count. I want that to be more than just seeing if there are light leaks or if the shutter works. I also want to see if that camera fits into my style and if I like to shoot with it. So I take that first time seriously. It's more than just testing the technical functionality, but it's also to see do I have an emotional connection with that camera. So let me show you a few cameras, and the interesting thing is that I often find that from that very first roll that I took, there are actually some pretty cool pictures. And it may be that the first time is special, or maybe it's just like I pay more attention because I also want to test the camera. I don't know what it is, but the first roll is often pretty good. Let's take a look at a few cameras. Let's first take a Smena 8M. I mean, everybody's gotta have a Smena 8M. This is the most manufactured camera in the world. They made over 21 million of these, so there are plenty of these available. Some still, kind of new in a box. It doesn't mean that they would work even if they are new, but these are plentiful. It is a very light plastic camera, bit over 200 grams, very, very flimsical and sort of feels cheap. But the lens is actually pretty okay. So when I got my first Smena, I thought that maybe it's good for street photography. I also wanted to try the supposedly good lens. So I thought street photography, and early in the morning I went downtown and took some street photos. They look like this. All those pictures were from the first roll that I ever took with my Smena 8M, and pretty nice. Hey, and then a bit more expensive but also much more really impressive is this Horizon, which is a panorama camera. There's a rotating turret that moves when you take the picture, and it sort of takes a panorama picture. They built these from 67 to 73, so not that long of a run. It is much heavier, it's like 4 times the Smena. When I got this camera, I of course wanted to see if that panoramic view would interest me. Once again, I wanted to test if there are light leaks, if the turret would turn in a smooth way and all that, so the technical aspects. But I also wanted to try if this panoramic view would be something that interests me. So I went to the lakeside and I took pictures like this. So those were from the very first roll of film that I put through this Horizon camera. Since that it has sort of gone worse. The light seals, they turn into this mushy substance, which also happened to my Horizon, and there are some severe light leaks now. Also the turret doesn't turn evenly anymore. I don't know what went wrong with this. Maybe I took it to the too difficult conditions. I don't know, but it doesn't work anymore. I should fix this. This is kind of an interesting camera. Now, but the reason why I haven't fixed it is that I got another interesting panoramic camera from Soviet Union. I found this FT2 Industar, which is sort of like an earlier version of that Horizon. But this is much more brutal and much more simple. There's a dark history behind this camera too. It was designed by an arms gun designer named Fedor Vasiliev Tokarev. That's where the FT in the name comes from. And he was the personal friend of the most brutal dictator that ever lived on the face of this earth, Joseph Stalin. So, arms designer for a dictator. It feels a little bit like a gun. I made a video of this. There's a link up there if you are interested in knowing more about this camera. But you know, when I got this camera, I immediately wanted to test it. You know, light leaks, yes, no, does the turret work, you know, what about the lens and all that. But I wanted to shoot something brutal, something Sovietish, hard to find here in Finland. But I found an interesting apartment building, and I found some railroad tracks and some other stuff that looked a bit Soviet to me. So these are some of the pictures from the first roll of film that I ever took with my FT2 Industar. This is an interesting camera. I mean, it's also fairly rare, and the prices of these are also going pretty high nowadays. They made only about 16,000 of these, so 16,000 of these, 21 million of these. So this was a rare thing from 68, I guess, onwards for a few years. Hey, then I also wanted to try Soviet-made medium format cameras. So this is what I got some time ago, a few years back. It's Moskva 5. It's a Russian copy of a Super Ikonta C, Ikonta, I don't know how to pronounce it properly. Like many Russian cameras, it's a copy of a German camera. This is a medium format camera. It was built in '59. By the way, from the Russian cameras, you always know the time of the manufacturing, the year. It's the two first digits from the serial number. Hey, so this is a rangefinder camera. So when I got this, I was keen on trying, first of all, the technical characteristics. Also, does it fit into my hand? And what's with the rangefinder? As you can see, it's pretty interesting. You take this thing, and this is how the rangefinder works. It's kind of this moving thing. And I wanted to go to a location that allows me to try, first of all, the nice aspect ratio, 6x9 centimeters. So I wanted to take some landscape, portrait and landscapes, and then I wanted to see if the rangefinder works, so I wanted to take some pictures with a wide aperture, fairly close, to see if the accuracy. So I went to an observation tower close by here where I live, and I took these kind of pictures. You know, whenever I get the new camera, I want to open it immediately, go and test it. I want to test the functionality. You know, does it function? Is it broken or not? But I also want to see if it fits into my style of photography and do I like it? And when I look at the first roll of pictures, are the pictures what I expected? And if they are, the camera is probably a keeper. If I don't like the results, even if the technical functionality is okay, I pass the camera on, I sell it to somebody else. And by the way, that's one of the good parts with these vintage cameras, whether they are Soviet or other cameras, is that you can probably get your money back since the prices are still going up. Hey, but now that we are talking about Russian cameras, there's something that I want to show you, kind of related. This is a statue of Lenin. It's made of some kind of alloy. Feels pretty much the same alloy my Moskva camera is made of. I'm thinking it's probably the same material. There's a story behind this statue. It's now 1990. Soviet Union has just collapsed and the brutal dictatorship is over. The world looks like a much better place. So it felt appropriate when my friend turned 30 to buy him a statue of Lenin as a historical side note or historical anecdote, to buy him a statue of Lenin as a birthday present. But it looks bad ugly, so he didn't like it. And he wanted to pass it on. So the next time one of us, there's probably 10 of us, the next time one of us turned full 10 years, he just attached a new label on it and passed it on to the next guy. So the first one is Archie, 1990. So it's been circulating among our friends and now it was my turn. The last label attached to it is Ari. So as I turned full 10 years, I got it and now I keep it for the next maybe a year and a half before the next guy turns full 10s, and then I give it to him and put his name on the statue. It's kind of partially a joke, but it has now turned into something more serious. Because even though in 1990 when this started, it looked like it's going to be a different era. It really is not. And there's a pattern. It was Finland 39, it was Baltic States 41, it was Hungary 58, it was 56, it was Czechoslovakia 68, it was Afghanistan 79, it was Georgia 2008, it was Crimea, part of independent Ukraine 2014, I'm probably missing some, and it was full war and attack to an independent country, Ukraine in 2022 by the Russians. And that's not okay. I really love Russian cameras and their quirkiness, and they are really interesting, but there's this dark underpinning with the culture and with this all. It's not cool. Slava Ukraini.